In the city of Lagos, lived a girl named Ella. At 15, she had everything a teenager could want. She lived in a big, beautiful house with her Aunt Grace in Lekki, a rich part of the town. Ella went to the best school, wore fancy clothes, and had the latest phone. Life was good, or so she thought. But Ella had a secret. Her real mother, Patience, wasn't the rich aunt she lived with. Patience was poor and worked hard selling food on the streets. Years ago, Patience had made the tough choice to let her sister Grace raise Ella, hoping to give her daughter a better life. As time passed, Ella forgot about her humble beginnings. She became proud and looked down on poor people. She didn't know that soon, her whole world would change. One hot afternoon, Patience visited Grace's house. She had traveled far, taking 2 buses and walking for an hour in the burning sun. When she arrived, her old wrapper and faded blouse looked out of place in the fancy neighborhood. Grace welcomed her sister with a hug. "Patience, it's good to see you. How are you doing?" "I'm managing, my dear," Patience said with a tired smile. "How's my Ella?" "She's doing well in school," Grace replied. "She's not back yet. School ends at 4 p.m. Patience's eyes lit up. "Oh, can I go pick her up? I haven't seen her in so long." Grace thought for a moment, then nodded. "Of course. The driver can take you to the school." Patience's heart raced as the car neared the school. She couldn't wait to hug her daughter and tell her how much she missed her. As they got close, Patience saw Ella standing with her friends, all wearing neat uniforms. "Stop here, please," Patience told the driver. She got out of the car, her eyes fixed on Ella. "Ella. Ella, my daughter," she called out, waving happily. Ella froze. Her eyes grew wide with shock and embarrassment when she saw her mother. Her friends turned to look. "Who's that, Ella?" one friend, Joy, asked, looking at Patience's shabby clothes with disgust. Ella's heart pounded. She felt panic rising in her chest. Without thinking, she sneered, "Oh, that's just our house help. She's come to pick me from school." Patience's heart broke. She had dreamed of this moment for so long, imagining a happy reunion. Instead, she stood there, hurt and rejected by her own daughter. Ella tossed her expensive school bag on the ground. "Pick it up and follow me to the car," she ordered, walking away without looking back. Patience slowly picked up the bag. She followed Ella, trying to ignore the whispers and stares from other students and parents. The short walk to the car felt like forever, each step reminding her of how far apart she and Ella had grown. In the car, Ella sat as far from her mother as possible. She played with her phone, acting like Patience wasn't there. Patience sat quietly, her heart heavy with sadness. When they got home, Ella ran inside without a word. Patience followed slowly, carrying Ella's bag. In the living room, Grace was waiting. She saw Patience's sad face and knew something was wrong. "What happened?" Grace asked, worried. With tears in her eyes, Patience told Grace what Ella had done. As she spoke, her voice shook with pain. Grace listened in shocked silence. When Patience finished, Grace called out angrily, "Ella. Come down here right now." Ella came into the room, still playing with her phone. "What is it, auntie?" she asked, not looking up. "Put that phone down and look at me," Grace said sternly. Ella obeyed, finally noticing the tension in the room. "Is it true what your mother told me? Did you pretend she was a house help at your school?" Ella looked from her aunt to her mother, realizing she was in trouble. I didn't mean to," she stammered. "Don't lie to me, Ella," Grace interrupted. "What you did was cruel and shameful. I'm very disappointed in you." Ella looked down, unable to meet her aunt's eyes. As punishment, Grace continued, you'll go live with your mother for 1 year. You'll walk to the school every day, and she'll pick you up afterward. You'll also apologize to her in front of your friends for what you did. Ella's head snapped up, her eyes wide with disbelief. But auntie, you can't. I can, and I will, Grace said firmly. You need to learn to be humble and respectful. Your mother has given up everything for you, and this is how you treat her. Tears filled Ella's eyes as she realized what was happening. The thought of living her comfortable life was scary. Please, auntie, I'm sorry. It won't happen again, she begged. But Grace wouldn't change her mind. Pack your things, Ella. You're leaving with your mother tonight. As Ella went upstairs to pack, Patience turned to her sister. Grace, is this really necessary? I don't want to disrupt her life. Grace held her sister's hands. Patience, this is for Ella's own good. She needs to learn the value of hard work and the importance of family. It's time she understood what you've sacrificed for her. That evening, Ella left with her mother. Her expensive suitcases looked strange next to the simple surroundings of Patience's small apartment in Ajigona, a crowded, poor area of Lagos. The change was sudden and hard. Instead of a big, cool room, Ella now had to sleep in a tiny space with a shared bathroom down the hall. The first few weeks were very difficult. Ella complained about everything: the noise, the heat, the lack of internet. She missed her friends, her soft bed, and her easy life. But as time passed, something started to change in Ella. She watched her mother wake up very early every day to sell food on the streets, working hard to take care of them. She saw how Patience, even when she was tired, always had a kind word for their neighbors and shared what little they had with others who needed help. Ella began to help her mother in the mornings before school. She learned to make food and talk to their customers. She walked to school every day, her fancy shoes getting dirty on the rough roads. At first, she felt embarrassed when her mother came to pick her up from school. But slowly, she started to look forward to seeing her mother's face in the crowd. In the evenings, as they sat together in their small room, Patience would tell Ella stories about her childhood, her dreams, and why she had sent Ella to live with her aunt. For the first time, Ella really listened and understood how much her mother loved her. As months went by, Ella's view of the world began to change. She made new friends at school, friends who didn't care about expensive things. She learned to enjoy simple pleasures: the taste of fresh fruit from the street seller, the sound of children laughing as they played, the feeling of belonging to a community. 1 year later, a very different Ella stood before her mother and aunt. They were back at Grace's house, marking the end of Ella's time away. Tears ran down Ella's face as she spoke. "Mama, auntie," she began, her voice shaking with emotion, "I'm so sorry for how I behaved last year. I've learned that being rich isn't about having nice clothes or going to a fancy school. It's about having people who love you and being a good person. Please forgive me." Patience hugged her daughter tightly. "I forgive you, my child. You've learned an important lesson." Grace watched with a smile, seeing how much Ella had changed. "Ella," she said, "you've grown up so much this past year. Are you ready to come back?" Ella looked at her mother, then back at her aunt. "Actually, auntie, if it's okay with you and Mama, I'd like to stay with Mama for a while longer. There's still so much I want to learn from her." Patience's eyes filled with happy tears as she hugged her daughter again. Grace nodded, feeling proud of the young woman Ella had become. From that day on, Ella never judged people by how they looked or what they owned. She had learned the hard way that what matters most is a person's heart, not their clothes or possessions. The end. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos like this one.